AITA for handling the sleepover planning? Mood spoiler. Growth. Less than. I am not the op. Originally posted by you, even appointment 732 in R. Am I the asshole on February 6, 23. Updated February 17. AITA for handling the sleepover planning? February 6, 2023. My husband is a ghostwriter and a stay-at-home parent of 2 kids, ages 6 and 9. While I am the working parent, my work can be very exhausting. I work from 9 to 6. So most of the time, my husband is the go-to parent when they need something or want to do something. My husband is very outdoorsy and active, so he always takes them somewhere, like hiking, biking, skating, etc. He is a very big believer in investing in hobbies. And he's just the creative person, I guess. My daughter is turning 10 soon. And when we were eating dinner together, my husband told me that she knew what she was doing for her birthday. I asked what she was doing, and she said she and her dad were planning a sleepover and they were going to meet after school tomorrow. My husband showed me a TikTok of something really fancy. What she had in mind. It seems like a really big project. I feel like there is a big gap between me and my daughter. And I thought this opportunity would be perfect to try and get closer. I try to talk to her, but she always seems uncomfortable or awkward. I know my husband is her favorite parent, but I just want us to be closer. So I told her, why don't I assist her with the project? Because Daddy is so preoccupied with his book. She asked her dad if he was busy, and my husband went along with it. She got kind of sad and said that she wanted Daddy to help her and that I didn't know what she liked. I told her I could be just as good as her dad. She said okay, but she sounded unsure, which I believe was due to the fact that her father is usually in charge of these events. After dinner, my husband told me he didn't like how I made a decision like that without consulting him beforehand, and that he wasn't sure whether I could handle a 10-year-old party and that this is not even what our daughter wants. I told him my thought process behind wanting to plan it and that I was sure this was something I could do. Everyone seems to be a bit awkward about me taking over the planning. Am I wrong here? Comments. Not sure why you can't plan it together. Seems ridiculous that you all can't be involved as a family for what should be a family event. Also, I am assuming that when you belittled your husband's career, it must be because he doesn't bring in as much money or something, but also raising a child is work. There are some weird ideas you guys seem to have about me versus you, instead of family unit. If you want to build a relationship with your daughter, then work on that with her, not against her. You all should go to family counseling. We could have planned it together, but when she mentioned planning a sleepover, I just thought it would be a good mommy-daughter thing. And I know my husband works hard with the kids. I really didn't mean belittle his work. My husband isn't really upset over me planning it. It's more about me not informing him beforehand. YTA. Your intentions are in the right place by wanting to connect with your daughter. If you come in, take over the planning, and it turns out the party you planned does not reflect her interests, likes, etc., it's going to make her feel like you don't even know her. She's visibly upset that you are taking over the planning. Her and Dad know what kind of party she wants to have. The best thing you could do is to let her and Dad take the lead. Be a part of it, and use the opportunity to get to know her likes, dislike, hang out with her, and plan a party that will make her happy. Take the time to connect with her. Taking charge of her party planning when you don't know what she wants for her party is going to have the opposite effect than what you're intending it to have. I may not be at home as much I should be, but I feel like I have an idea of her like and dislikes. Plus she was gonna go to Target with her dad, so I can take her to Target with me to figure her out. YTA. Because Daddy is so preoccupied with his book. Instead of trying to belittle and then become him. Go your own route. Don't try to take over his role or the hobbies he does with them. You need your own. Your daughter is right. When it comes to this specific thing, you don't know what she likes. Be the adult and admit that to yourself and figure out what special thing you two can build a relationship on that doesn't involve taking something from your husband. I understand what you're trying to say, but I wasn't trying to belittle him in any way. Update. AITA for handling the sleepover planning? February 17, 2023. The sleepover was last weekend, and it went great, but my husband ended up taking over. I took my daughter to Target to buy decorations, but she was being too vague or just putting her shoulders up whenever I asked her a question. So during dinner, I suggested that my husband follow us. When he came, she gave us a much clearer picture. And when we decorated, I never did anything right. I put in a lot of effort at work. I was so dedicated to becoming their partner that I kind of didn't involve myself in their lives. Now I am worried it will change. I feel like a nuisance anytime I am around my daughter, who just keeps quiet. I know she is very shy, but as her mother, she should feel comfortable around me. I am trying to make more attempts to be more involved, like helping with homework and making dinner. But after every attempt all I hear is, "Daddy does it this way," or, "Can Daddy do it for me? I don't like my scrambled eggs like this," or, "I want Daddy to teach me. He is better." I have just been feeling like a failure as a mother. Which is not to say I won't stop trying. I have also come to realize that I was a bit passive-aggressive and jealous towards my husband because of his closeness to the kids. And after a long chat with him, we were able to resolve some issues that I didn't even know I had. Thanks for the advice. I have taken it to heart. Comments. Up. Unless you are an extremely judgmental person or are doing something to alienate your daughter, I'd say the problem is your husband. I have been a SOM for over 20 years because my middle daughter is severely mentally and physically impaired. Because of me not working for years, my husband worked a ton of hours. You know what I did? I nurtured the relationship between him and my other children. I helped him engage with them, suggested he do special things for them and let them think it was his idea. Why? Because it is good for the kids to be comfortable and feel a closeness to both parents. Your husband likes her favoring him. I don't know where people got the idea you were the a-hole here. Your husband should want you to have a special bond with your daughter. He is being selfish and you are getting the short end of the stick. I wouldn't put the blame on my husband. I was just obsessed with advancing in my career, and I've since realized my goals in that regard. Recent events have made me realize that I am not as close to them as I once thought. I've recently come to realize that I've consistently put my job before my family. The more time I spend at home, the more I realize how much a stranger I have become. My husband and I used to argue about me not attending her and my son's events or parent-teacher conferences. But I just thought that as a woman in this field, I couldn't give them a reason not to promote me. So I just kept using the excuse of being the breadwinner. Now that I've seen the consequences of my decisions, I'm going to make some changes and take on more domestic responsibilities. I am not the op. I swear this is almost identical to another post I've read here that went much the same way. Workaholic mom. Super dedicated sod. Mom suddenly doesn't feel included after a decade and takes over something, but the daughter understandably doesn't want her involved. And suddenly mom also has a ton of personal growth and defends dad in the comments. Promises to do better, etc. I swear I've read almost this exact story recently on BORU. Am I the only one that get confused at the part about being a ghostwriter? Which seems like a full-time job to me. And a stay-at-home parent? Maybe it's because English isn't my first language, but a stay-at-home parent seems like the main Focus is to look after the home and the children. But having a job and staying home just seems like it's a work-from-home job. Both my BF and IWFH look after kids, home. Are we both stay-home parents? Lol. God, this is complicated. But what I don't get is how judgmental all the comments on AITA are. Shouldn't you be trying to help assholes change, instead of making them confrontational and driving them away? I had a few years like this with my 2 kids and husband. I had 2 jobs because we needed the money. And my husband was better with the kids. He had a job with flexible hours. And got them ready in the morning. Drove them to and from school. Fed them dinner that I had cooked. Helped with HW. And put them to bed. I would arrive after this and then we talked for hours. He was happy to let me know every little detail. And whenever they made plans for anything, he always included me in the planning. And I would know that very night. The kids never resented me. They're now both adults and the 4 of us are very close. This is a tale as old as time. The breadwinner ignoring their family in favor of their career. Belittling, being jealous of the homemaker for not really working. Then eventually realizing that they failed to form or even maintain any bonds. The problem with the whole breadwinner-homemaker dynamic is that it breeds contempt. Both partners can't help but see greener grass on the other side. 96 is a typical office workday. Depending on industry, 9 a.m. is a late start. Oops seems like the type to carefully enumerate how hard she works, so I'm guessing no regular travel. Weekend work. Are crazy late hours since it's not mentioned. I'm not sure how she can plausibly use working from 9 to 6 as an excuse to ignore the whole family. For years. That last comment calling husband selfish? Christ, she admits she was focused much more on her career, yet the husband was in the wrong. Musical note and the Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon musical note. I don't think Dad was a stay-at-home dad. She is clearly very dismissive of his job. It's implied he works from home. I imagine a ghostwriter has a flexible schedule, so he has just picked up all the childcare duties. I love that last comment that paraphrases to, "You've clearly been uninvolved in your child's lives. And it's your husband's fault." Millennial dads, as a group in the UK, have had the importance of work-life balance and being involved in rearing your kids hammered into them. It was granddads telling us their biggest regrets. They never blamed their wives. Good on Op for not taking that crazy lady's cop-out that was also an obvious attempt at making herself feel better about her husband's lack of effort during their children's lives. Gotta love to see growth of character and new mindsets. I'm a man, but that last comment hit me hard too. Prior to COVID I had worked so hard. Long hours. Took on extra projects and sometimes traveling 180 nights a year. It wasn't until COVID and everything stopped I realized how much of my kids' life I had missed and how I had lost contact with my non-work friends. I wish Oop the best. And hope she finds that balance that will make her happy. Such an odd take by the commenter saying that the husband is completely at fault and that Oop was. NTA. Stay-at-home dads have a difficult stigma to work through. I wouldn't put the blame on my husband. I was just obsessed with advancing in my career. And I've since realized my goals in that regard. Recent events have made me realize that I am not as close to them as I once thought. I've recently come to realize that I've consistently put my job before my family. The more time I spend at home, the more I realize how much a stranger I have become. Fuck me. Did this one hit me right where it hurts? I did this too. I sacrificed nearly every close friendship that I had in the interest of my career. It was only when I proposed to my wife and realized that I hadn't seen any of the people I would ask to be my groomsmen in years that I began to realize how much I had isolated myself. That was in 2019, and despite an obvious hiccup in 2020, I'd like to think that I've repaired all of the relationships that I'm interested in resuming. It takes time and maybe even a couple of apologies, but the hard work pays off in the end. As her mother, she should feel comfortable around me. Has Oop put any effort into helping the daughter feel comfortable, or does she just expect magical mother powers? And the problem is your husband. No, it's not. He's just being a good dad. It's the mom's fault if she's so utterly uninvolved. She's never helped with homework or made so much as eggs for her kid. My dad actually worked similar hours to Oop when I was growing up, but he was a lot more involved. He actually made me breakfast every day he left for work before I woke up. But he'd cook oatmeal and cut up a bunch of fruit into cute shapes to decorate. Sailboat, animals, flowers. And Mom would just heat it up for me. But I knew Dad made it. If he ever had a weekday off, he'd be the one to pick me up from school. Or we'd spend time on weekends. He'd call us from work if he had a minute to talk. He attended school events. And we had family vacations. He very frequently left notes for me and Mom if he was going to be out longer or gone before Mom woke up. Edit. I thought OOP's hours were 69. Actually, my dad did way longer hours than her, lol. He'd be out of the house by like 6 a.m. and home after 7 on a good day. Does Oop never have weekends? Can she not do anything in her spare time for kids? Call or FaceTime during break. Make their school lunch. Write them notes. Etc. I suspect she never talks to her daughter at all. The way she describes their relationship, 9 to 6, isn't even that far beyond normal work hours. Assuming she doesn't work weekends. So why isn't Oop there during breakfast, dinner, and evenings to just talk to and play with her kids? I feel like that commenter might have a small point that Oop's husband could help. Although he maybe already nurture the relationship, but he definitely doesn't seem to be enjoying the dynamics or happy that his wife feels left out. He would not have gone along with her lie so she could help the plan the party had he wanted to hog all their love. I don't think the amount of hours Oop is spending with the daughter is the problem here. Honestly, good on Op. She realized she wasn't as close as she thought and wants to change that. She keeps quiet because she's uncomfortable around you, Oop. You aren't part of her life. The take that it's the husband's job to make a relationship between the kids and Mom is just sad. Oop should have wanted a relationship with her kids and built that. She can always ask the husband for advice. It is sad that the commenter is perpetuating such a sad, weird scenario. Fathers only working and being absentee parents is not the mother's fault or job. Commenter basically said they had to force a relationship between her kids and father. If the commenter's husband is like Oop, that means he never even took an interest in his kids. Commenter thinks that is normal. I wanna hug Oop. My parents both worked, but my mom was the breadwinner and had a successful career while my dad happily worked for the state and thus had a lot more free time for me. She did make it a point to go to all my school plays and such. But I definitely saw more of my dad and was closer to him. And she and I fought a lot in my teens. It's very frustrating to want to rebel as a 16-year-old but have generally chill and reasonable parents who in retrospect made the right call a lot of the time. I'm now in my 30s and very close with both of them. My mom had to parent me while waiting for me to come to her. But I know she values our relationship deeply. Oop can definitely come out the other side of this. But it won't feel great for a while. Sounds like Oop needs to invest into some family counseling and individual therapy.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.